So I'm going to give you a tryout. And I was like, for what? And he was like, for a show. And I was like, really?
What would be the decision making as far as that goes if an opportunity like that came about in sports?
If you got a guy that sounds sarcastic, I'm going to be sarcastic right back to you, you know?
Yeah.
So
Is there a particular dream job? Do you want to continue being a radio host? Do you want to be play by play? Do you want to be studio? Which one of those would you would certainly love if the opportunity arose? All right, Danielle. So for starters, I know here in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut,
mhm.
everybody or a lot of sports fans are familiar with you, who you are, what you do. But for those who are outside of the tri-state area, if you could give us just a little background about yourself, how you got into sports, how you got into the position where you're at, you have the floor. Please share.
Yeah, I'll give you the shorter version, I guess. I'm gearing up to go back to school for my 17th year, believe it or not. Um,
17th. Wow.
yeah, yeah, lucky 17. Yep.
Yeah, because you're a teacher. Is that right?
Yeah, I got a job right out of college, so that's usually the next question. Oh, but you look so young. Yeah, I got a job. I was
Oh,
21.
oh,
So
good, good.
yeah, I loved it. It was my passion, teaching Italian, and then I took well, when I was in college, I took a sports media course my senior year. I just needed the credit number. Like I was ready to student teach, everything was done. And I
Uh-huh.
finessed the guy to let me into like a 350 level like course, sports media course. And it kind of
Uh-huh.
it's like changed the trajectory a little bit. Because yes, I was going to be student teaching in the spring. You know, I went through with it, obviously got a job teaching. And then like maybe 5 or 6 years in, it started to change a little bit. And I got that little seed in the back of my head, like, well, wait a minute, like this could potentially like maybe be something. And I never wanted to think like, what if I didn't pursue it, didn't try it, and
Right.
yeah, I just I pedal to the metal. I've been doing it for almost 11 years now. Pedal to the metal here.
Wow. And it's a thing, just like you said, if you didn't go ahead and give it a shot, and let's
Yeah,
say if you never gave it a shot, you'd always have that doubt in the back of your head. It's like, oh, what if I did that? And it's good that you did it at that time because,
right.
as we know, timing is everything, and of course, who you meet, etc. But who knows? If you would have waited a little bit longer, you may not have been where you are currently, WFAN, or who knows, maybe even elsewhere for that matter down the road, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
So you had at least had the foresight to know that, you know what, hey, I'm going to give it a crack and hopefully that this will all pan out. And with that being said, I'm sure at that time, knowing that the sports landscape is obviously grown, especially when it comes to women, whether it's hosting a radio show or being a studio host, announcer, etc. What was the climate back then, if you could kind of share with us, just trying to navigate your way to get to where you are?
Back then, like it was so long. No, I'm just kidding. I
Right. I don't want to age you by saying that, but sure.
It was so
No, I
long
understand.
ago. No, and I always
Yeah.
give thanks to those that kind of paved the journey and the way for people like me. Susan Waldman obviously has some
Mm,
stories from back in the day at the Fan. Laura
right.
Oakman, you know, etc. So, um, I actually, my dad was listening to Boomer and Geo one morning, and he texted me and he was like, "Hey, they're looking for a Jets beat reporter at the Fan." And I was like,
Mm,
and I heard it. People think it's so easy that you just boom, I just jump right into the Fan. Like, no, like I was
right.
driving around to different places around here just to get in front of athletes, interview them. It was like 5 years of doing that with no pay, paying the toll, paying parking, this, that, going all these different things around here. And then what I would do is I would take that audio and I would curate it and I would fit it into like my radio show, which was at Rampo College. I strong armed the student manager into allowing me to have a show. And I made that like, and that's the style of show I put on, you know? So it just wasn't like, oh, she just showed up at the Fan one day. But anyway, so I sent an email to Mark Chernoff. I got it from two different people. And he was like, "You want to come to my office today, tomorrow or the day after?" It was a Monday. I was like, "I'll be there tomorrow." So I played a little hooky that day, and I was in the corner office, and I didn't realize it was an interview until it was over because I thought I was going there for the Jets beat reporter position. And he was
Mm,
asking about David Wright, and he said, "Do you think he'll ever be back?" I said, "You know, I did the research for my own show, Spinal Syndrome. I'm like, I don't think so. Like, '86 Giants. I wasn't even born yet, but my dad's a huge Giant fan, so I knew about them. Like a couple other
right.
topics." And then he's like, "Look, let's be realistic. I don't want you quitting your teaching job to make $100 a day to go down to Florham Park for football season. So I'm going to give you a tryout." And I was like, "For what?" And he was like, "For a show." And I was like, "Really?" So
Wow.
he said, it's not going to be right now, because it was probably like maybe September. No, I don't know what month that was actually, but he said,
Hmm.
I will remember. Don't keep emailing me. I'll remember. And I had to trust that he would. And he
Yeah.
emailed me, and I had my first show. It was just like July 20 something of 2017. And I just
Hmm.
got back from Italy. I was out of the country. I was like not watching games like I always am, and I was a little nervous about it, but
Yeah.
it was an hour of Tony Page's show from 3 a.m. to
Hmm.
4 a.m. And
Hey.
that was it. So he was very supportive. And I thank him every day for changing my life.
And to think, so now that's been 9 years, and considering that obviously the summer, I'm
And
sure
oh, well,
you
9
try
full years.
to.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, yes, exactly. So last month actually made 9 full years.
Yep.
So once you get to teaching, and obviously with your schedule on the fan, which you now work, I believe, weekends, correct?
Yeah, always weekends. Yeah.
Right. So now, how are you able to, especially when you're from September through June, how are you able to navigate literally a 7 day a week schedule? And of course, you've managed and you've been able to do it for this
Mhm.
long, but is it become easier now considering that you've gotten into a rhythm? Is it harder to come out of the summer with obviously classes, I'm sure starting momentarily, where it's like, oh, geez, now we got to start the engine up again? How difficult that is to try to juggle to get yourself into that groove? Or at this point, it's just like nothing off your back?
Yeah, the one thing I've noticed, and I coach too, so this is a jam-packed schedule that I'm
Mm,
leading here. The one thing
wow.
I've noticed though, I got to tell you, Jay, it's getting a little
What's that?
tougher. Like these overnight shifts, I used to just bounce back the next day. Now it's taking
Right.
almost 2 days to get back into the rhythm here a little bit, because I never
Wow.
sleep
Okay.
before. Like if I go on at 6 a.m., I pretend that I'm taking a nap, but I never actually do, because my worst fear is that the alarm doesn't go off and then I miss
Oh,
the whole show. Like that would be, so I never sleep. And then
right.
at times, a lot of times I'm up for 24, 25 hours straight. Just, doing it, making it and trying to make it, So, it's a lot. I've had to leave. My cousin got married on a Saturday night. I had to leave the wedding early to go to my show, do my show. Like, so there's sacrifices along the way, and I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, because my only
Right.
availability is weekends, well, then I have to make some sacrifices on the weekends to make sure that I'm always working towards the goal, which is a full-time job in sports.
Right. And that's the other thing too, I was thinking, because knowing that you have to juggle both, and of course they're both priorities, more so the teaching, because obviously that's your bread and butter. But again, here it is 9 years later, knowing
Mhm.
that you're in a competitive market, New York, it's WFAN, and
Mhm.
I'm sure whatever it is that you try to do to hang on to that, has it ever come to a point where as it's getting tougher, do you think about maybe possibly giving it up, or just maybe resigning? Or I don't want to say resigning, but just coming to a point where it's like, hey, this is too much, I can't do this? Or are you thinking, I'm in this for the long game? Or maybe there's even another plan for you in the broadcasting space when it comes to working in
Yeah.
sports?
It's always about networking and leveraging contacts and things like that, as you know. But my under
Yep.
the New Jersey teachers retirement plan, I have to wait till 65
Huh.
years old to get a full pension, and I will die in that
Oof.
classroom before I can reach 65 years old. So, and that's a lot of stories. Like it's almost like I don't want to say it like this, but people are counting down like the number of years. How many years do you have left? How many years do you have left? And for me, like how do like the
Right.
retirement thing? Like, it's not like cops in New Jersey where they get 20, they do 25 years and they're done. Teaching, you have to do, I think it's
Right.
25 years and you have to be a certain age. So if I would have known that, I would have flip
Mm,
flopped my plans, because it changed
sure.
when I was a teacher. It changed. So if I did the math, is 65 minus 25, I would be starting if I would give it up by 40. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I would
Yeah.
100% did the sports media first and then flip flopped into the teaching. But it changed while I was already in the profession, and it's a ridiculous thing. And I hope that the union works to change it, but I'm not too confident.
Interesting. Now, here's another scenario that I just thought of.
Yeah.
What if by any chance that a major network, I won't mention who, but a major network comes calling or shoot you an email to have you go into whatever it may be, whether it be working behind the desk or being on the field reporting, and obviously the pay is going to be a lot more than what you may currently make, or maybe it could even be comparable for that matter.
It
But
could be a
knowing
little bit
that,
less.
Oh,
And I'm
well,
thinking it.
I
And
was
I'm
going to say,
thinking
even if it's a little bit less. So
yeah,
now what would be what would be the decision making as far as that goes if an opportunity like that came about in sports?
I think it's not a decision. It's something I've been working for busting my
Mm,
butt for so long that if,
right.
full-time job in sports, like even I worked for the Giants in a part-time capacity in the 2019 season in the media department. I love that
Okay.
too. Like I would work for a team, if that meant,
Right.
okay, you have to work for the Giants, but you have to give full-time, but you have to give up the fan. I probably would do that too because I love sports that much. So
Right.
yeah, anything full-time in sports, man, it's been something I've been grinding for so long, whether it be the fan or a TV network or a team or like a league office. Like really, I'm keeping my options open.
No, and that's great because I can only imagine just the pressure of when you think of society just in general, or maybe even like you said, let's say your parents, oh, you've been a teacher this long and now, and I'm sure they're supportive. Obviously, I don't know your parents. I just look at it from a standpoint of like even myself, I am pursuing what I'm doing here. I'm 57.
Mhm.
I quit corporate America 2 years ago. Thankfully I have my wife who's super supportive, but at the same time, right, when it comes to networking and doing all these different things, and even though the universe is watching, but it's upon the universe's time in order for this to really blossom. And in the
Yep.
case with you, I'm sure the universe is certainly working behind the scenes to the point where an opportunity may arise and it's like, oh, wait a minute. The constant steady job that I've been working at so long, and even like you mentioned, pension, I get it 65, everything you explained. But then on top of that, it's like, wait, this opportunity in sports. And it's good to hear that if that opportunity or when that opportunity, let me put that out there to the universe, when that opportunity arises, yes, that you will go ahead and pivot without any hesitation.
Yeah, and I have a lot of contacts in Las Vegas, and I just got back from Vegas like 10 days ago or so, and I was
Yeah,
leveraging
I
a
saw
lot.
that. Yeah, the Raiders.
Yeah, with the
I saw you out
Raiders.
there. Yeah.
It's funny because I've been with the fan 9 years.
Right.
I never got a chance to do a live broadcast. I send a couple text messages and 3 emails to the Raiders, and here I am at practice doing a live broadcast on the Raiders morning show, the Raiders.com morning show. And I didn't want to
Wow.
leave. I was like, this is, and like the background was just like mountains in the back. Like it looked fake. And I'm like, man, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. I do not want to leave here. And so,
Wow. And if I may ask, how did that come about? I mean, I'm sure with
yeah,
networking and
well,
contacts, et cetera,
yeah,
but I'm
that's it, and
curious.
that's the biggest lesson if anybody's listening trying to get into it, networking is it. So, there's a guy out there, he does the afternoon drive show, he's from Jersey, and so we connected on Twitter, probably in 2016, like that
Wow.
long ago, 10 years ago,
Wow.
and every time I go out there, I make it a point to go on his show, and then that led to different contacts within the radio little network. It's not as big as it is here in New York, and then,
Right.
this guy, Clay Baker, he was producing one of the shows that this guy, Steve, was doing, and then he just, like, liked me, and then I don't know, and then now he's co-hosting the show, the Raiders Morning Show with Clay Baker. So,
Wow.
I just, I reached out and I said, "Hey, Clay, I'm coming out." Like I do all the time. My dad and I went out for a Giants Raiders game just as fans, and Clay
Oh,
came
yeah.
down from the press box. He met us, and so it's just kind of like, hey, I'm going to be out there. Some like a lot of contacts didn't work out. Like people I reached out to were busy and stuff, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So it's just you have to keep in their ear a little bit, and then every time I go out there, I make sure. So if it wasn't New York, Jay, I'm thinking it's going to be Vegas.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
and then who knows? In a couple of years, you're gonna have the A's go there. Yeah, obviously you have the Raiders there. You have the Golden Knights, and
the
eventually, I would think the
Aces.
NBA will probably head there too. So who knows? You may
Yep.
have all four major sports there, and that would be even more of a better playing field for yourself to go out there and really network and, of course, spread your wings when it comes to the major sports.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have the Aces. And today I sent an
Yeah.
application to the women's hockey team, the PWHL team
Oh
out there.
yeah.
No name yet. So yeah,
Nice.
it's a constant. So once school starts, I can't do any of this because I'm just either too tired or just busy, and I can't do any of this. It just stops.
And that was going to be, you just took the next question right out of my brain
Yeah,
because how are you able to, and of course I understand it doesn't matter how long your days are, whatever, you come home and you have to do it, but
yeah.
how do you muster up the bandwidth and even the just overall capacity to know that you've had a hard day, week at school, especially when it first starts, et cetera. And then now, let's say we're going to be in the teeth of football season and you got to get in contact with people. Like, where do you muster up all that energy in order to do that?
The teachers at school always seem to ask me the same question, like on Monday, like,
Oh,
wow, you worked overnight. how'd you do it? How do you do it? Like, I don't know, because if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be showing up to work to start at 2 a.m. if I didn't
That's
love
right.
it. You know what I mean? 2 a.m.,
That's
2
right.
p.m., whatever time I put on the same show. And, I start, and it starts like Thursday. Like I tend to, my formula for my shows are like tops of the hours. I always try to put in like a little anecdote, like sports anecdote that I personally, like I talked about going to see the Raiders like last week at the tops of the hours. I always do like those.
Yeah.
I try to get those done by Thursday lunchtime. So Thursday and Friday, I always eat lunch in my classroom. And that's when I work on it. So Thursday, I get those done. Friday, I'm starting to really start to comb through the stories and say like, all right, that's probably going to be a story for tomorrow, or that's probably not going to be such a story. So I just, copy down some links, some headlines on Friday. And if there's something that I know is going to be talked about, like football season's easier because you're moving into Giants preview, Jets preview, storylines of each. So you can really get that done on Friday, quite honestly. And then just, fill in the blanks on Saturday, like anything that comes like Giancarlo Stanton, the injury last Saturday. I had to make some room for that in my plan. So it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of trying to predict what's going to be a story and then what's not, and just reacting to, sometimes you get breaking news, even at that time in the morning. Kodai Senga signed with the Mets at that time in the morning, so it was crazy. Yeah. So always prepared, always well-researched, so that if something does come my way, I'm like, all right, I got this. I just got to put my thoughts together in my head before they come out of my mouth, because I get so excited, But
no, of course.
So it's a lot of preparation, and it starts early.
No, of course. That's the one thing about the sports news cycle. It's 24/7, so you always got to be on top of it, especially with all the teams in New York, obviously.
Right.
I don't have to tell you that. All right. And of course, you can hear Danielle McCartan on WFAN.com or on the Odyssey app. So for those outside of New York, if you're curious, wondering, especially if you're on the West Coast and you say, hey, I want to get my fill of New York sports, especially if you're a transplanted New Yorker, hey, this is where you get to go to check her out, and definitely do so. All right. Now, a couple things.
I have a lot of transplants that call in. Guy from California calls in, guy from South Carolina, a lot of Florida guys call in, so the Odyssey, it's free. AUDACY. It's free, and you can listen anytime.
Yes. And I, of course, I want to be mindful of the time, so I'll try to zip through a few other questions here. Now, I want to, of course, get to a sports thing too, but when it comes to on air, has there been an experience that you've had on air that sticks out, whether it's a guest, whether it's even a caller for that matter? Has there been anything that over the 9 years that has really stuck with you as far as your career to date when it comes to hosting on the Fan?
Yeah, I would say every time I send a text message to Doc Gooden, the answer is always yes. I try not to. Wow. I try not to abuse that, of course, but like every time, there's something going on with the Mets, like the 86 Mets thing that just happened. I reach out to him. The answer is always yes. So that is like pretty freaking cool. Like to have one of the best pitchers. I don't want to even limit him to the Mets, but one of the best pitchers of all time, you can just text and he'll say yes every time. Like that's pretty cool. And then there's a few like that, but so that's pretty cool. Like these guys that I watched, Ken Danico, I watched him, and every time I text him, he's like, yep, let's do it. What time? Like, it's so cool. Like it's surreal, really.
Awesome. But it doesn't get any better than that. No, absolutely.
I know. And so, I guess the other thing, a caller, you mentioned caller, there's, somebody's making money on this on YouTube. I wish I thought of it. Somebody put together a call. Ralph, this guy Ralph called in, and it was about not David Stearns. Who was before him? Billy Epler. Yeah, Billy Epler. Yeah, it was Billy Epler. And I said, we were arguing back and forth, and I didn't like Billy Epler. I didn't like what he did, and he liked him. And it got to a point where like we were not coming to any sort of resolution. And I said, Ralph, are you related to him? And that's what just totally set him off. Like he went into this whole diatribe of you don't bring anything to the radio. You don't bring content. And I was like, whoa. Because behind the scenes, it was a Sunday show. Saturday night, I left my good friend's housewarming party early to go home to sit with a notebook in front of the stupid piss poor Mets and take notes on it so I could talk about it the next day. That's content, is it not? And then the week before, I'm losing track of when it happened, but either the week before or the week after, or I booked my own trip to the All-Star game, and it cost me quite a few $1,000s to go to the All-Star game in Seattle. The fan credential fee and everything, but I had to pay for the flight and the hotel and everything else that went involved with it. I didn't see anybody else doing that anywhere. except for me. So how dare you tell me I have no content when I just spent thousands of dollars of my own money in the summer that I don't get paid? And I left my friend's housewarming party, conversely. So, and then I had Alex Jimo from Netflix. She's on the King of Collectibles. She was like gassing me up too. She was like, "You're so good at this," and I'm like, and then it just exploded on this guy who told me I didn't do my job essentially. And I was like, "You have no, it's everything that you want to curse, but like you can't." Right. So I just, I blew up on him because you're not going to tell me that I don't do my job. I do my job and I do it well. And I do all my jobs well.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I would certainly take umbrage to that too if somebody came out to me and said, what? Because the preparation, everything that goes into it. I mean, listen.
I'm grateful the fan credentialed me. Like I asked, no questions asked. They just did it, but like nobody gets it that like, you're also I'm paying for it. And I don't have the opportunity if it's not for them. And I want to make that like clear, like I'm not going out there just to go out there and just hope something happens. Like they gave me the plan and I was like, all right, I'm going. But for that and I happily paid for it, but you're not going to come at me then and I didn't say a word. I didn't even say that on the air during the call. Right. I didn't say a word. Like, you're just not going to come after me like that and just tell me I have nothing, that I bring nothing to the radio when I can look around and point to a few that don't bring anything to the radio.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. I tell you.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get to a couple of sports things and then we'll start to wrap up. As far as the teams that you root for, what's the one team that you will die on that hill no matter what? And I'm sure you're a diehard. Like, for instance, I'm a Met fan, Islander fan. I know this is going to be weird. I love the Steelers, Celtics, and Georgetown. But to me, my first love is baseball, so I'm a Met fan, tried and true. And it's not no diss to my other teams. So which one of your teams is the one that absolutely positively, that's the one that you love the most?
I don't know. It's tough because, you get labeled as a X team homer if you come out and say, I'm a fan of X team, Right. And I've really kind of curated my show to be that unbiased, if you listen carefully, you could probably figure it out type thing, but I don't really and it's not you. I just don't want to come out and just say, hey, I love the Gotham FC. And then you're like, you're such a homer. I can't. Right. And then because Jay, my first strike is that I'm a female, right? That turns off a faction of fans. First, it's her again. Boom, off. She doesn't know anything. And then I say, okay, I'm a fan of this. I'm looking at it, Angels. I'm a fan of the Angels. And then all the Dodgers fans turn you off. It's like, right. I know what I'm talking about. That doesn't matter, the team itself. So I try to stay away from that question because, I'm pretty well versed in all of them.
No, and that I totally believe. And I'll get to the House of Highlights in a moment. And I didn't want to go there because I'm sure you ask that all the time. Oh, have you gotten a lot of abuse from men to try to measure you when it comes to your sports knowledge, this and that? I mean, please, I am well past that. And I know, I'm sure you've probably been asked that a zillion times. So I didn't want to go there with that, but it's just a shame that to this day, you still encounter that.
And it still happens on the phone lines. You get those guys. I always try to match the tenor of the call. So if you got a guy that sounds sarcastic, I'm going to be sarcastic right back to you, So you get these questions. Like one guy, he was like, here's another story. He said, who is the leading scorer on the Rangers right now? And I was like, that's a fine, silly question to ask. I'm thinking, well, I'm going back and forth. Is it Chris Kreider or Mika Zibanejad in my head? Chris Kreider. I said Kreider. Wrong, he said. It's Zibanejad. And guess what? You pronounce his name wrong. I'm like, what? He's like, it's Zibanejad, not Zibanejad. I'm like, well, I talk pretty quickly, actually. People always tell me to slow down. And how dare you say that? He goes, you and Mark Malusis do it. I said, but did you call Mark Malusis and tell that to him or just me? Well, just you. I said, well, hold on a second. I went to Yankee Stadium maybe 2 weeks ago. In Italian, Volpe. That's how you pronounce it, okay? I asked Anthony, do you want it to be Volpe or Volpe on the radio? Because I want to make sure I do what you want. He said you could do Volpe. Ever since then, I called him Volpe. Like, don't get on me for that. Guess you didn't know that story, did you now? So, it's those kind of callers, Oh, Mika Zibanejad versus Zibanejad. Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Come on.
I know. These people got to get a grip. All right, so now I want to get to House of Highlights because where I met Danielle was at House of Highlights back in April, and we were part of the trivia with all the different ages and all the different decades, and we got to the final three. In fact, you got to the final two with Bryce, who I still keep in contact with every now and again. And I enjoyed it. That was not only great meeting
It
you
was
there,
fun.
but it was a lot of fun. I'll leave a link in the description for those who hadn't seen it. But
Yeah.
have you gotten any callbacks? Because I do watch some of the House of Highlights trivia stuff. I've seen Bryce go back, and I've seen like a couple other ladies there, but you slayed that
Yeah.
contest. I mean, to think you were that close to winning. I know Bryce, I think he had like a little Cavaliers 2016 comeback on you there toward the end.
Oh,
So
that
yeah,
was
which
bad.
I know I'm sure you're probably still stewing over ever
I
since that
am. I am.
contest.
I'm not, every time I see Trinidad Shameless on TV now, I'm like, that was
That's
the
right.
freaking answer. Why couldn't I think of his freaking name? So that's gonna haunt me forever. Hopefully, he doesn't have a long NFL career because I'll continue to think about it. But
Oh yeah, no, forget it. You'll be haunted, like you said. Absolutely.
yeah, no callbacks, nothing yet.
Uh,
It's hard because they're during the daytime. So once school starts, I'm
right.
pretty unavailable. That just happened to be during spring break, so that worked out really nicely for
Oh,
me.
perfect timing. Yes.
Yeah. So any school break that they're doing something, I'll kind of check in, but nothing imminent, nothing recently. No.
Oh, okay. All right. And then lastly, I'll end it with this.
Mhm.
Now, considering we just talked about before, if an
Wait,
opportunity comes
hold on
up,
a second. You got to
right.
hype yourself up a little bit too. With those hockey questions that were like out of left field, you got every one of them. Every one of them. People
Yeah, there
were
was
like,
a couple I missed. I
"What?"
missed the Canadian teams. I'm over here thinking
I
I
know.
was just on overload, and it was
Oh,
7,
man.
and I said 6.
I
Yeah, but
know.
you read the soccer ones.
You know, you don't know what like deep buried in here until you're asked it, and you're like, "Well, I had like, where was the first World Cup played? We had just looked that up at school. Like, it's just funny how like the kids we were talking. I was like, oh, let me look that up, and it was
Right.
like weird, like the UFC questions. Like, I don't know. I surprised myself, quite honestly. I really did. And all the women's sports, I knew I was getting them. You remember the AZ Fudd question? Yeah.
Yes, I remember
Yeah.
that.
They
Yep.
showed her on the screen. I'm like, AZ Fudd, Kathy Engelbert. I'm yelling all the answers. And then she's like, what? I'm like, now everybody else is going to say it. That's not fair. Give it to me, man. Nobody
Right.
else even on the stage knew who that was. I'm
No,
very
yeah. No, and you were fantastic. And that would have been great if you would have won too. And of course, I'm sure between yourself and then even Chase, who was the
Yeah.
15-year-old, whereas I'm sure a lot of people looked at him like, who's this little whippersnapper or whatever. But he was also real sharp too. And yeah, it was just a great time. And again, I'll leave a link for those who hadn't watched so you can watch it after
And a good
watching
group. It
this
was a
interview.
good
So,
group of people.
yeah, no, it was. It was definitely a great time. And yeah, so go back to my last thing.
Yeah.
So big picture, I understand whatever comes at you. If an opportunity arises, whether it's studio host, who knows? Dare I even say if it happens to be relocation? Let's say, hey, if it happens to be Vegas, like you mentioned, is there a particular dream job? Do you want to continue being a radio host? Do you want to be play-by-play? Do you want to be studio? Which one of those would you would certainly love if the opportunity arose?
I don't know. It's a tough question. I know radio. I know radio very intricately, so I will do radio. It's
Right.
fun, obviously. I just started doing like last year and this summer, Pix 11. I think
Oh,
TV is intriguing too,
wow.
like a on Yankees Nation, that show that they have.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's intriguing. Like, TV, had to be short and concise and to the point. You got to get your words out. Radio is more long form.
Yes.
But there's not a ton of like stability. You get if you're good, you get another contract, of course. And obviously, I wouldn't not try for that. But I feel
Right.
like working for a team is kind of the best of
Mm,
both worlds. Like, stable, but also
right.
in sports. So,
Yeah.
and in whatever capacity that is, media, broadcast for the team. Like I applied for a job with the Raiders in their silver and black broadcast team. So
Oh,
we'll see how that goes. But
yes. Fingers
yeah,
crossed.
so and that's from the team, like that you go to the studio in the training facility, like. So I
Right.
think that would kind of be a merge of both worlds. Ideally, perfectly, it gives you the job security. The salary might be a little less, but you're also working in sports. So I think that would be a good merge.
Well, Danielle, let me tell you, I appreciate you taking out the time out of your busy schedule, and
Yeah,
I'm
it's been
so grateful that we had this opportunity to talk. All the best to you in whatever you do, obviously with the teaching, but hey, hopefully that big job comes, whether it's Las Vegas or another New York job or a big network decides to give you a buzz, and next thing you know, you'll be splashed on TV and you'll be the superstar and rock star that you are. Once again, all the best. Thank you so much for carving out precious time out of your day to be a part of this. And again, best of luck.
Jay, I'm so sorry it took this long, but I'm glad this was fun, and we'll do this again anytime.